Excited to have our next guest with us. His name's Marcel Johnson, and he's one of the most inspirational men I know. So without further ado, let's bring him on. Marcel, you there?
Yes, I am.
What is going on, man?
Well, same old soup, just reheated, man, outside of a pandemic.
Because, as I said in the opening, you're one of the most inspirational men I know. I've worked for a lot of people, right? I still get upset if someone cuts me off, right?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you just have, like, you can't focus on when you fail, to me. And I like your thoughts about this, but like when you have these minor fails in life, you can't focus on the fact that you failed, but you got to focus on the fact that you're conscious of it, right?
I mean, what people mistake is failure is an event. It's not a person. So you may have failed at this, but it doesn't make you a failure, right?
Right.
And Alexander Graham Bell, you think he just went in the lab and was like, here you guys go. Boom.
Here's the phone.
Made it. Yeah. Don't even worry about it. Yep. And this is it. And we're going cellular next week.
Hey, did you know,
so
you brought that up, Alexander Graham Bell. Did you know that the minute he plugged the very first telephone in, he had 2 voicemails from Chuck Norris? I don't know if you knew that.
That is awesome.
Luckily, I think I learned from both, and I think I gravitated towards my mom's way of life, and it's probably a good thing.
And it's brilliant that we were fortunate enough to have, right now we have to say you're fortunate to have both parents in the home, but to have 2 parents that gives you 2 different aspects of life is beautiful. And, my dad, for example, he was a dad, old school dad, pretty much hardcore. Don't know if he really voiced the words, I love you. But I know times now because, like I said, I'm retooled. I'm educated. I have skills down. So when I play the kick back, when my father mistakenly accused me of something, and then he found out that I didn't do it, that day when he came in the house and he was like, hey, Marcel, I got this cookie. I didn't eat all of it. Would you like the rest? That was him saying, I love you. I'm sorry. Right? That was him saying that because he wasn't built the way to verbalize it the way that I just did. Right? So if I grew up expecting him to verbalize things in that way, it wasn't going to be a great relationship. And then we may have grown apart because he couldn't abide by my rules,
Right.
And my dad was a guy he would kick my room door in at 5 a.m. and he would say, hey, before you do anything on a Saturday, I need you to wash my truck. And so I would just be a little heartbroken kid because I would be like the night before, I would say, I'm going to impress my father. Tomorrow when I get up, I'm going to wash his truck. But he would snatch that joy from me by forcing it upon me, right? And so then what would happen is I would wash his truck. And then when he would come home, I would be in my room just tickled pink, like can't wait to get the accolades. And my dad would say, hey, when are you going to wash my truck? And I'm like, well, I did. He's like, what, you call this washing a truck? And he'll come out and point out everything that I did wrong. Right. But he would then he would show me how to do it right. Right. So then all you have to do is show me one time, and then I'm going to ask you questions and I'm going to be crystal clear on your expectation. Then I'm going to try to perform that. But the fact is my dad demanded that of me. My mom would be like, hey, what are you doing today? Well, I want to go play basketball, this, that, and the other. Okay. Well, I have to go to church at 5 o'clock. So if you can wash my car for me today before then, that would be great. Okay, Mom. And I would go play basketball. And I remember this day clearly. It was winter. And it was cold outside. And here I come home at about 4:55 to see my mother shivering, washing her car. And I would say, oh, Mom, no, I got it. She's like, no, it's okay. No, it's fine. No, I get it. You got more important things to do. I'm not as important as your friends in basketball. That's fine. I'll just stay out here and shiver, you know,
Yeah,
and watch
the
the
guilt
car.
card.
Right. So it was two different things. And then my mom, her discipline was brilliant because she would say, "Hey, tonight for dinner at 6 o'clock, we're having steak. So go do whatever you're doing, but dinner starts at 6. So when I come home at 6:05, I can smell it around the corner, porterhouse. And then I get home and there's liver on my plate. And I'm like, wait a minute, I thought you said we were having steak. Yeah, steak was at 6. But since you chose to come home at 6:05, this is the 6:05 meal. Enjoy." Right? So
Wow.
she gave me natural consequences when my father was like, "I'm not taking any chances. I'm going to dictate your script and you're going to follow the script that I leave for you." When my mother would say, "Don't play with the fire," and she would just leave it at that and then go in the house and get butter and ice because she knew her son. She knew that I had to touch the fire, but yet she was there with the butter and ice to tend to it. But she allowed me to learn on my own because she knew I was that type of learner. Like, man, I'll never touch this again. And she didn't judge me and she didn't have to say, "I told you so," because in my mind, she told me so. So she gained my trust and allowed me to experience life on my own accord, which was perfect.
And that's fantastic. One question, all right, that I think if anybody met you in person, they would ask, and it's just a stupid question, but how much do you bench press?
How much do I bench?
Yeah.
So I have a patented answer for that question because I'm asked so many times. I always ask people, "Well, how much do you weigh?" However much you weigh, if I need to lift you and toss you, best believe I can do it. But
Perfect.
a lot of times I always say, what depending on the situation, whatever's on the rack. If it's a car and my son's under it, I can bench press a car. So, and growing up, my friends would say, "Well, how fast can you run?" Well, in a 40, I probably run about I'm a big guy, so I think I might have ran a 4.8. But if there was a siren behind me, it's probably reduced to about a 4.5.
All right. Everything depends on the situation for sure.
Yeah.
When I said you're an inspiration, I'm not just saying that because you're on the podcast. You're on the podcast because you are an inspiration, and I appreciate you.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.